I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture. A city where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small. And with the sweat of your brow, rapture can become your city as well.
What is good, spectacular gamers? FCC Spectacular back on this mic to rock your body right. And this is not a review of BioShock, but rather a spectacular perspective given to you by me on this series of games. Brilliant indeed. Great graphics, awesome story, and intriguing gameplay. You'll be sure to enjoy this if you pick it up. But let me take you on a spoiler-free trip, an overview, if you will, of the series I now know and love as BioShock. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right.
Is it someone new?
BioShock is a first-person shooter game developed by 2K Boston and later renamed Irrational Games. BioShock is set in the year 1960. The player guides protagonist Jack after his airplane crashes in the ocean near the Basphere terminus that leads to the underwater city of Rapture. Built by Andrew Ryan, the city was intended to be an isolated utopia, but the discovery of Adam, a genetic material that can be used to grant superhuman powers, initiated the city's turbulent decline. As Jack tries to escape, he finds himself fighting through hordes of Adam-obsessed enemies, and the iconic, giant enemy known as Big Daddies. The few remaining sane humans sort of guide him, most notably, a man known as Atlas. Jack eventually learns of Rapture's past through a series of recorded messages. BioShock includes elements of role-playing games, giving the player different approaches in engaging enemies, such as by stealth, as well as a moral choice for saving or killing characters. I will tell you this right off the bat. I enjoyed BioShock 1 from its beginning all the way to its end. Many surprises, awesome graphics, intriguing gameplay, and many will argue that this game's atmosphere is the best bar none. So many secrets and things to be found, and such a shocker of an ending, but the actual ending was kind of a letdown. Spoiler free, so I won't spoil it for you, but when you pick up the collection, play this one first as should, and then I suggest going to Infinite. Part 2, hit or miss, but I'll talk about that next. BioShock 2 is also a first-person shooter game, developed by 2K, and of course, is the sequel to BioShock. Set in the fictional underwater dystopian city of Rapture once more, the story takes place 8 years after the events of the first game. BioShock 2 opens on New Year's Eve 1958, 2 years before the events of the first game. The player controls Subject Delta, a Big Daddy, and patrols Rapture with his little sister, Eleanor. Eleanor is separated from Delta by her mother, Sophia Lamb, who uses a mind-controlled plasmid on Delta to make him shoot himself. 10 years later, Delta awakens, revived by little sisters who are under the control of Eleanor. The game introduces us to Big Sisters, a lighter, faster, and seemingly female version of the Big Daddies. Of all the games in the BioShock series, this is by far its weakest entry. Set a couple years after the original, the story drops off a little and has a female lead antagonist. It wasn't very impressive, the graphics were still good and the controls remained the same. They also gave you a dual welding thing, as not what before you had to switch your hands back and forth. Also, as mentioned before, you now control a Big Daddy instead of a human, which is rather odd. The ending of this game, the pits, but hey, it's still a good game, just the weakest of the series. They also threw in some multiplayer, if that was your fancy, but it was kind of weak too. Moving on. BioShock Infinite is a first-person shooter video game developed by, you guessed it, Irrational Games, and published by 2K. The game is set in the year 1912 and follows the protagonist, Booker DeWitt, who is sent to the floating air city of Columbia to find a young woman named Elizabeth, who is being held captive there. Booker has no choice but to go due to a gambling debt he has built and cannot pay back by any other means. Though Booker rescues Elizabeth, the two become involved with the city's two warring factions: the nativists, who are fighting for their equality / freedom, and the elite, founders that rule Columbia and strive to keep its privileges for white Americans and the Vox Populi. Booker learns that Elizabeth possesses strange powers that allow her to control and manipulate something called tears in the space-time continuum, and soon discovers her to be central to the city's dark secrets. Father Zachary Hale Comstock, the main antagonist, is both the founder and the leader of Columbia, along with the elite who rule the city. Equipped with his skyhook, a new game mechanic, an assortment of firearms, and his trusty vigors, once known as plasmids, Booker must escape with Elizabeth or die trying. Upon first getting BioShock Infinite, I didn't initially care for it. After trading it in and then getting it back a few months later, I was hooked. This game has awesome graphics, way better controls than the previous two games, and a stellar story. Comstock makes for an excellent villain. Booker is also a good hero, as he is also seen as a victim of circumstances. And Elizabeth, very good, and you don't have to worry about protecting her as an NPC. I should point out that in this game, there's a new mechanic that uses something called a skyhook, which guides you not only around the city fastly, but also makes for some engaging and fun battles. The story, the whole BioShock story comes together at the end of its DLC, which is totally awesome. But they want to charge you for it. Good thing I bought the season pass. Or so I would think. Hey, of all the games, I suggest you play BioShock 1, then this one, and then part 2. And a small heads up, there are some small racial issues tackled by this game, but in a respectful and well done manner. Hey, if you don't already own the BioShock series or have never played these series of games, this is a great time to go pick them all three up on one disc. In the collection, remastering, good graphics, all the good stuff. Hey, take it from me, you'll enjoy this game. That's it for me, guys, on this video. Catch me at the end of the week on Friday when I'll put up a new video, and be here throughout the week as I put up other stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, VidMe, and other platforms at SFC Spectacular. And remember, if you can't be good at it. See you soon. Peace.
Good sir, I do believe I've shat in my pantaloons.
I'm here today to talk about